What's up, you guys? Joe Dobby here. I am now a Deck Out Gaming affiliate. Use Joe Dobbs Deck Out at checkout. Deck Out Gaming has tons of singles for Pokemon, Dragon Ball Super, and Digimon TCG, as well as One Piece. They now buy list as well, so don't hesitate to reach out, and they got your back. Really high customer service ratings. Thank you guys, and yeah, let's get to the video. What's up, YouTube? Joe Dobby here, back at it again with another deck profile for you, and this is the first thing I ought to build, or thought to build, as soon as BT14 hit. I saw the new Devimon, which you'll see in a little bit for BT14, and I saw Dark Wings Delusion, which is a one-cost option that is also launched in BT14, and those two cards actually, I think, possibly pushed Dan Devimon from being a non-starter build at all, like you can't play it at all, to something that you can potentially play at locals and maybe even steal games at larger events. I've tested this out, and honestly, when the cards align, you can actually get Dan Devimon out, your first Dan Devimon out by turn 2 or turn 3 actually. Turn 3 is on average the fastest time that I get them out, but when you're really lucky, or if the RNG's there, you'll actually get it out turn 2. The possibility is there, and I wouldn't rule it out at all. But we'll start with the eggs here. We're running 2 copies of the On Delete Pagu. You're essentially self-trashing from the top of your deck, which is the key role here. You're not drawing or trashing anymore in that regard. You're not drawing cards, then selecting what to trash. You're indiscriminately trashing, and I went full send on these types of, on this mechanic essentially. So I'm running both types of Impmon here that I really like, from the Structure deck and the Impmon X Antibody. The Structure deck Impmon is a really good Impmon to have because it deletes Floodgates as an inheritable. So the inheritable is really what I use it for early game, but as we progress, we start to see its when attacking effect actually be very, very impactful, because I run 1 copy of the Structure deck Beelzemon, and as long as I see that thing in trash, I'm essentially live. Like, I can get to 20 cards in trash by turn 3, and that is actually very huge and very consistent, not gonna lie. I'll show you how all of that is done later, but I just wanted to go over the choices and the decisions that I made with building this deck. So very good card, and I can Digivolve over Impmon here. So one of the biggest hurdles of this deck is because you're trashing so much, you're not always going to get to Digivolve and draw. Impmon X Antibody offers a free Digivolve with no cost, and you get a draw out of that. But the biggest effect is actually it's inheritable. It works very well with the BT14 Devimon. When attacking, trash the top 2 cards of your deck. It just accelerates your game plan, gets you to Dan Devimon as soon as possible, or that setup to Dan Devi for your next rookie as soon as possible. And you can bring back key targets such as Impmon, such as Beelstarmon, such as Beelzemon if you really need it. Generally, I've only ever needed to use Impmon X Antibody for Beelstarmon, but you know, never hurts to have the option. And finally, the star rookie, the Devimon. So this is the rookie that I want to get into by turn 2. So like, or turn 3, rather, excuse me. So like, I raise Devimon, and then swing or block, and then it dies, whatever, and then I play Dan Devimon by turn 3. That said, there are ways to actually get to Dan Devimon. If you're really high rolly, you can get it by turn 2. I know it's hard to believe, but it's actually possible, but you have to be very, very lucky. That said, yeah, 7 or more names. I run 20 names in this deck. I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure I run 20 names in this deck, so it's very easy to get 7 in trash. Next, the star of the show. So this is the main support that I decided to play around for Dan Devimon. On play and when attacking, you trash the top 3 cards of your deck, which is huge. But its your turn effect is actually really powerful, because this Digimon gets plus 1 KDP for every 3 cards in your trash. So you can get to, let's say you get to 21 cards, right, in trash. That's plus 7k. So Devimon is going to be attacking at 13k, which is insane. At first, I looked at the 3 cost to Digivolve, and I was like, that is very expensive for a level 3, especially when there's no condition that makes it Digivolve for less, like over a Devimon, you know what I mean? Cost for 2, but this is just 3, period. So the fact that that's the case makes it a little bit expensive, but the math actually works out here. Because if you're going second and you have this card, all of your rookies are good. Like, all your rookies are just good, because they are good for your turn one. Because let's say your opponent, typically what they'll do is turn one, they go into a rookie in the back, level 2 in the back, they set you to 2. That's typical, right? Unless they have a tamer, unless they're dropping a searcher, typically you'll be set to 2. Now, you hatch, Digivolve into a rookie. Any of these rookies are fine. Go into Devimon for 3, put them to 1. Unless they're dropping a tamer or you know, another searcher or whatever, the math works out that they will put you to 2 again. If they go into a level 5, if they play a searcher again, if they play a 3-cost tamer, you're gonna go back to 2. If they don't raise that Digimon, it doesn't matter. You're gonna get a chip in. You're gonna get to swing for at least 7k by trashing the top 3 cards of your deck. And in addition to that, if this Devimon does get deleted, you actually trash 1 card in your opponent's hand without looking. So that might have been a piece that they really needed. It could have been the card that they just searched in the previous turn. Very good stuff. And just having that aggression is really good. Now, mid-game to late game, when your opponent's trying to chip into your security with a bigger body, let's say they finally raise that level 5, they're like 9k, 8k, whatever into your security, sure, you raise this Devimon. I mean, at 12 cards in trash, it's 10k, you know what I mean? So it gets there very quickly. It allows you to really swing over level 5s, level 6s, the later the game goes. And that's why I think this Devimon is incredibly powerful. And, you know, I now accept why it's like 3 cost to Evo. But the key role here is if you see this early with the Impmon and Impmon X antibody, you're trashing 5. And then on your next turn, you're likely going to have enough Devimon if you do the promo Demi-Devi to bring out a Dan after. Next, we're playing 2 copies of Dobermon, so you could also play a Dobermon if you'd like. I'm debated about playing Alice because there are some cards that I want to play around with, and Alice makes Dobermon a 3 cost, which is amazing. But for now, I like this Dobermon just to retrieve pieces back to my hand. It used to be Wizardmons, and Wizardmon has been helpful in, you know, sending cards that you want trashed back to the top of your deck to be trashed. So it's up to you on how you want to run that, but I figured like my level 5 slot is not as impactful and I'm not swinging with them until I'm a 6. So it's not like a Balmon where Wizardmon can immediately get effect off that. I have to be a 6 to typically want to swing. So I figured no Wizardmon for now, let's try Dobermon. Next, I'm running 3 copies of Devimon. So in testing, one of the key weaknesses was actually the lack of blockers. I would be able to put my opponent to 0 security and I just needed a finisher. And sometimes that blocker was all I needed to really win the game. Like if I had a blocker and waited 1 turn, I'm good. Or if I had the ability to play another body by having a, you know, promo Demi-Devi underneath a blocker, then I'd be good. And that's why I run 3 of these. It's also 3 names and it's 1 cost to Evo, so I can turbo up into my level 5s, which are pretty impactful early mid game. And you can get there very quickly. For my level 5s, 2 copies of Neo Devimon. A lot of decks are running tamers. So you have D-Brigade or Digipolice running Satsuki. You have Fenrir Lugumon, they're running AG. Shine Greymon runs Marcus. Blue Flare runs Kirhanene and Kiraha, all that stuff. So even like if you're playing you know, Bagra Army, Dark Knightmon, all that stuff, they all run tamers. So Neo Devi does really take the tempo back from your opponent when they play tamers, because then, you know, for that tamer, they're passing turn. And when they're passing turn, that gives you an opportunity to come back or set up for what play you anticipate them doing. And I really like this. I really like the Neo Devi. It's come up quite a bit. 4 copies of Lady Devimon. Once again, we're really playing into that mill strategy, and you trash the top 3 cards of your deck, right? And the situation where BT14 Devimon is so good is because if you are able to have a second Devimon, for example, you raise up, you probably have 6 to 9 cards in trash. Let's say you have 9 cards in trash. When you attack, you trash 3 more. So 12 divided by 3, that's 4k. So you're getting 10k swing. It's a very safe swing. So Devimon will survive at that point. And then you can Digivolve into Lady Devimon unconditionally. Well, for 3, obviously, but you know, you get to Digivolve safely is what I meant. And then you trash 3 more. Let's say you're at 15 cards in trash. You're gonna have like Lady Devi, Devi, and the promo Demi Devi. That's 3 targets. In 15 cards, you're gonna have 4 more targets and potentially a Dan in trash already. So, like, if that's your turn 2 play, where you have Demi, Devi, and Lady Devi, you only need 4 more targets in trash after swinging with Devi to play out Dan. You need a Dan and 3 more targets, right? So that's what I mean by turn 2, you can actually set up a Dan if they remove your Lady Devi. If they don't remove your Lady Devi, you end up with an Anubismon. So Anubismon allows you to play a level 3 Digimon card from trash without paying its memory costs. And that's really huge because if you just trashed your Beelstar and you want to make a mid-game Beelstarmon play, you can play out Impmon, trash an option card that you're likely not going to use. Like for example, a Death Slinger that you can never put back to the top of your deck, you don't really want to pass for. So you can trash that to get Beelstarmon back by playing this. This Impmon will actually have Rush, which is huge. Or this Demi Devi will have Rush, which is huge. Or this Impmon will have Rush, which is huge. And it can Warp Digivolve into Beelzemon, which is insane. So, that is quite a lot of synergies with Anubis, which is why I think at 3 it's fine. But I could easily see Anubismon going to 2 because I run lots of ways to get him back. And maximizing Dan Devi just to get Dan Devi, to make sure that I can get him out as soon as possible. So Dan Devi, very powerful effect. We're very familiar with this card. For those unfamiliar, opponent's turn, when a card is removed from my stack, I trash the card of my opponent's stack. So if I have 2 Dan Devi and they're swinging 1 check, they lose 2 checks. You know what I mean? So very good stuff. It also has a control element to it. If you delete it, trash 2 cards from your hand. So it's played for free with the promo, and that's how you get it out as soon as possible. Another thing is if Anubis is on board and you manage to play Demi Devi, and then you Digivolve into Devi, now you're probably wondering like, oh, like how do you even pay the 3, right? Now, there's an option card here that makes this combo insane, and I'll show it to you. It's the new one from BT14 as a box topper, but we'll dive into everything else for now. So Beelzemon and Beelstarmon have direct synergy here, because Beelstarmon, when a card's trashed from my deck, I can play an Impmon, so I'm likely trashing with this guy swinging, and then if Beelstar's on the field, I get to play out an Impmon, and if I have 20 cards in trash, this Impmon will swing, pay 3, go into this, and all of a sudden I have Beelstar, Beelzemon, Dan Devimon potentially out, and this Devimon that was swinging, if it dies, I can get Dan. So I can bring out 3 Mega Digimon out and do 2 checks or 3 checks with the Devi in 1 turn if I set up my Beelstar mid-game. So if I have 20 cards in trash, which is very easy to do, Beelstar is a 5 cost. So if my opponent has a Memory Tamer, perfect. The math will math, right? All I need to do is ensure that when I have that Beelstar, when I put that down, I have a Devimon, the good Devimon waiting in the back. And then I can basically set up that entire play, which is not hard to do, which is really cool. I'm debating whether to put Beelstar to 2, but right now 1 has been fine. Like I've trashed fast enough to see Beelstar immediately. The only unfortunate part is if it's in security, but at that point it's like, it's cool. Like it's not my main win condition. 1 copy of Matt just for the memory setter. Sometimes you need memory setters and to return cards that I need. That's a challenge when you're milling so much, returning cards that you need. Calling from Darkness allows me to bring out Dan Devimon at unexpected times. Surprisingly, this guy will swing at like 9k very early. It'll swing maybe like first swing, it'll be like 7k. Second swing, it'll be 9, 8 or 9. So it'll likely survive. And if you've already set up the trash to have, and if you already saw the Dan, and you don't really need to go into a level 5 just yet, you want to hold on to that. You can pop it with Calling, grab it back, because the only inheritable you'll trigger is probably Pagu. Actually, no, you don't want to grab it back. You want to grab something else back. So you grab something else back, like the... I'm pretty sure you can grab the promo. So you grab the promo back, and then you'll still be able to trigger and play Dan out, which is good. Or you can grab something else completely, like a Dober or a Beelstar or an Anubis, and then you get to play a Dan through that play. So that's very good. Darkwing's Delusion is such a great card. I really want to play it at 3, but the space is so tight. Let me know what you guys think. But instant trash 3 cards of your deck, right? So let's say I put my opponent to 1, they put me to 2, I raise Devimon here. I play Darkwing's Delusion first, so now there's 3 cards in my trash, and the Devimon gets Sec +1. I swing here, trash top 3, so that's 6 cards in trash, so I'm 8k Sec +1. And then I trash here, that's 8 cards in trash, and that's fine. Like, I'm not at the 9k, but I'm 8k Sec +1, which is very likely to survive. And then I go into my level 5, you know? So now you're at 3 security, I have a level 5, and if this is the inheritable, I have a level 5 threatening Dan Devimon if you remove it, and you're down to 3 security, and I'm still at 5, because this is a turn 2 play, if you open very well. So Darkwing's Delusion, I think, is an insane card, and you activate your main effect as well. So Darkwing's Delusion has direct synergy from security with Beelstarmon and Beelzemon late game. So if you didn't see it at all, don't worry, just keep chipping, you know, keep being annoying and play for, you know, potentially seeing it in security. And if you do, then you have Beelstarmon and Beelzemon, either or can actually give you an advantage when Darkwings is played from security, because it just trashes top 3 cards. 3 copies of Deathslinger, debating if this should be a 2 of, so I can fill space for other stuff, but for now I'm testing it at 3 because this game kind of like, you need removal, and I like it, so we'll keep it at 3. And this is the biggest card that has been introduced to this deck, next to the new 2 Devimon cards support. So, if you have a Wisdom Training on board, just one, a Mat on board, and you go into Anubismon with a Lady Devimon underneath. So you Digivolve into Anubismon for 3. So you go to 0. You play out Promo Demi Devimon. And then you gain a memory because that's Lady Devimon's inheritable. So you're gonna be at 1 memory right now, right? Now you can trigger Wisdom Training to reduce the next Digivolution by 2. You go into Devimon for 1, so you're at 0 memory now. And this stack will have Rush. So you Digivolve into it and you gain Rush because Anubismon gives a Digimon Rush. It gains Rush for the turn. So now you've got this big guy that has like... This is like mid-game. Let's say you're likely going to be at like 11, 12k by then. So you can either swing into things, crash into things, swing over things, or swing into security. But at this point, I'm willing to crash, knowing that I have this coming out next turn. So you can actually Digivolve to this for 1 because of that. Trash top 3. You're like 11 to 13k at this point. Crash into another 11 to 13k Mega Digimon because they likely got there. This inheritable triggers, brings Dan Devimon out. Dan Devimon then has Rush as well because of the Anubismon effect. It's not once per turn, it's your turn. So you're playing Dan Devimon from trash with Rush. You swing into their security once you've removed the main threat with the other thick Devimon. And then this guy, if he doesn't die, if the next Digimon raise doesn't delete it and they swing for your security, they lose another check. So you're plussing so hard off that one play if you get to pull it off mid to late game. And trust me, you're gonna have a Dan Devimon by like turn 3. Like turn 3 or 4. If you're really unlucky, turn 4. But if you're moderately lucky, turn 3. If you are incredibly lucky, you'll have the full stack going. Like you'll have Devimon surviving the swing, going into Lady Devi, a Dan in trash, and like 2 more targets or 3 more targets. And all of a sudden, like you're threatening a turn 3 Dan if they delete the lady. If they don't choose to delete the lady, you go into Anubis and then you just go off. So which is really good. The more of these you are able to see on the field, the more insane the play can get. Actually so good. And then 4 copies of Rivals Barrage just to bring back targets and just to ensure that I have some removal in security, which is really good. So not only can I minus you a Digimon from security, but I minus you a security when you swing. So it's like double the punish, which is really good. But that said, that is actually the Dan Devimon deck profile. Sorry if I was a little all over the place. I'm actually recording this right before a regional event, so hopefully I do well there, but I'm just having fun at this point. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what other cards you might want to see in this mill style deck. And if you think Wizardmon is absolutely necessary. From my testing, Wizardmon was great with Deathslinger. But I feel like I can try to play around Dobermon and see if I really need Dobermon. If I don't need it, like if I have Dan Devimon in my hands, I think Wizardmon is a much better card to have because you can send it to the top of your deck and then trash it as a result, right? But you can easily just Digivolve into Dan Devimon for 2 with Wisdom Training, which is so good. And then you just have a level 6 that potentially has this, so it plays itself on deletion. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and peace. Bye.